Good afternoon and welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show. Today, Jim, we are going to be looking at distractions, and are distractions losing you money? And the likelihood is they probably are. And there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about today that I'm sure a lot of people will relate to. I could definitely relate to, and I'm sure you could relate to in your journey over the years, Jim, as well. So, how are you today?
Well, right, ask me what ask me why I'm smiling because the people on TikTok and Instagram will go, "How's he saying that without moving his lips?" Welcome to Instagram, welcome to TikTok, and every channel here.
Yep.
Distractions, yeah. Oh God, God, I could list off a reel of distractions over the years that have lost me money. Even friends I know as well that they've been distracted by other business opportunities or other avenues of income. It took them away from their core business. And while I can, and they were the same as me, they were buy to let. And while I continued to focus on buy-to-let investment and property investment, they continued to do things like sidetracking to, gyms are going to be the next best thing. Oh, this is going to be the next best thing. And they were diversifying and pouring themselves into these other areas. And to be honest, they all went tits up basically. And
That's like
and
you
they're
spoke
no
about.
further forward than they were before, but I'm light years ahead of them in terms of wealth creation because I stuck to my core competence. Keith Cunningham always said, stick to your knitting.
Yeah.
And if you're going to teach somebody, do you eat your own cooking?
Yeah. Do you know that's like the shiny penny thing you spoke about? We were speaking about that the other day. And people, you spoke about the shiny penny when you walk along, you see the shiny penny, and you get distracted from your journey that you're on. And it takes you off in a different direction, whereas you really stay focused. And that's an example of a distraction. I think things as well like, are you a yes man or a yes woman or yes person? Do you know what I mean? Do you, are you've got that eagerness to always just please everybody and just say yes to everything? That's a really bad one that a lot of people fall foul to. And then listening to too many different people or too many of the wrong people that maybe aren't aligned with what you are trying to achieve. That's something that people get roped into and taking maybe the wrong advice and listening to the wrong people. So don't do that. Don't do that, and don't be a yes man. I think that's quite important.
I'm often nervous about saying things about don't be a yes man. Because there's a political correctness nowadays about
I did
what
correct
about
myself and
women
say
and
a
what
yes
about
person.
non-binary, and it's like, oh my god, it's like we're going to get picked up on this in years to come. Everybody will pick up on us.
Yeah, I know. I did correct myself and said a yes person. So, but yeah, I mean, I think we're aware, and a lot of people will be aware that seldom do you achieve success in business and things, and without being pessimistic about it, without obviously going through all these trials and tribulations, and it doesn't always come easily. But most entrepreneurs and things who have made it inevitably have faced a myriad of challenges and things, and we've covered a lot of them over the weeks of doing this, Jim. And that's just the way of it. So I think distractions is so important to try and eliminate as much as distractions as you can, and in order to not deviate
I've
you
got
from
a
your
fantastic solution
journey.
to that, and as soon as you get a distraction, you say to yourself, who else could do this for me?
Yeah.
There you go. Distraction eliminated.
Yeah.
But a lot of people actually like the distractions because it keeps them away from what they should be doing, because what they should be doing ends up being uncomfortable. And the distractions tend to be comfortable. Does anybody relate to this, by the way?
Yeah.
The distractions tend to be comfortable, that it keeps them away from being uncomfortable with the things that they should be doing. Does that sound familiar, Richard?
Yes, it does. And that's what I said. A lot of what we're going to cover today, I could see like, God, I've done that, and sometimes I still do that. And do you know, we're going to talk today about, there's a few things. Obviously, listening to the wrong people is the first thing. As I just said, busyness, mistaking busyness for productivity, procrastinating is something that I've had to battle. And allowing politics and things within like workplaces and that to override your decision making. Being a yes person as well is something that we're going to cover today. So yeah, a lot to get through, and I think a lot that will resonate with everyone that's viewing and themselves as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, and then I think we'll find that it's a lot of people who are on that journey, or maybe are quite far on in their journey and their road to success, they'll notice that it's been distractions and things that have allowed them sometimes to invade their space and take up time unnecessarily and kind of took them off track. And they're often just maybe subtle distractions. A lot of the things I just covered the other now. And some might not even know that they're a problem until one day they wake up and think, God, all of my efforts and things, and I'm putting all this time in, but I've been totally derailed for what I actually set out to do. So
I think most people in life actually are constantly distracted, and allow themselves to be distracted. A classic example right now is I've got a new laptop sitting right across from me, and the IT guy's working. He's sitting working on it right now, and Microsoft came up, and I had to go and put the verification in so he could log into my account. Hence the reason why I was going like that over here. But you also have the classic example about, comments on TikTok. It's an easy distraction for me to get caught up in that. When somebody comes on and says something completely random, it's got nothing to do with this at all, or then has a pop, as they usually do, because that's the TikTok audience, to be honest. They have a pop at what you're doing, and they try to distract you. And it's not. This is a classic about what we said about listening to too many people.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. Remember, we're streaming on 10 channels right now at this point in time, 10 different channels and audiences. So we're streaming to effectively quite a lot of people at the same time, although it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But it's easy to get distracted by either one when you're doing that. And you really, because we have got an audience and we are listening and we will take questions. So if you've got any questions or comments, we will bring them up. And if it's relevant to the conversation that we're having, then yes, fantastic. Other than that, you can't let it distract you, or then your show is completely off tangent. It's like people are wondering, wait a minute, I came on to listen to about how distractions are losing my money. I never came on to somebody asking about how's the rental market right now, or how do I best make a peanut butter sandwich. Something to that effect. That's a distraction, and that's listening to too many at the same time. So it can be overwhelming when you start to listen to too many people. I can get that straight away. It can cause a lot of anxiety, which actually releases cortisol into your system, which actually then hypes you up and gets your blood flowing a lot quicker, which then sometimes makes you quicker and responsive, but other times it can make you quite anxious and aggravated. So it can come over as either. You can either be quite enthusiastic or it can come over as pretty aggressive. I'm guilty.
I was waiting to say, does that feel familiar? But,
I'm guilty. It does feel familiar. That's exactly what happens to me. Sometimes I get extremely in the moment and I get so absorbed in it. I actually zone myself out and I stop listening because it is all these things conflicting at the same time. I tell you what, there's a lot of shit that goes on in my head all at the same time, and it's voices. And I don't mean it's like that guy's crazy.
No, it's like, I need to do that.
These ideas that pop up in your mind all the time, and people say, "Oh, you must be very entrepreneurial." It's like, well, sometimes it's a blessing, and sometimes it's a curse, and you just have to learn to switch off from that and move on to the next one. That's the key in terms of how you're doing it. So it's make sure you're not listening to too many people at the same time. Don't start second guessing yourself, for God's sake, because this is what happens. You get the conflicting voices. This is what I'm going to do. Then all of a sudden, somebody else chips in from the outside and goes, "Oh, but what about this?"
Yeah.
And you go, "Oh, Christ, it's like indecision." But you have to remember, by listening to too many people, you're never going to get anything done. You have to what we call shit or get off the pot. I've heard it before, and I've heard it from some of my friends before. He used to say, Jim Stevens used to say all the time to me, it says like, just do it or get off the pot. That's it. Get on with it, make a decision, move on. And that decision is the right decision, even in hindsight later on, as you think, I wish I'd made another decision. It's like, no, it was the right decision at that time based on the information you had, and you just had to go with it.
That's a good way to look at it, because I mean, a lot of people will do the same, and they'll make a decision to do something, and then they'll think about it and think, "Oh, I should have done this, or maybe I should have done that slightly different." And it kind of falls into the look, done's better than perfect. And a lot of people do, and I'm guilty of that, trying to perfect things, but rather than just getting them done. Yeah.
It's the perfection you get to. You get to perfection, and then that's when we get to things like procrastination, which is what we'll talk about. Mistakes, mistaking busyness for productivity is a big thing. It's like, I have done so much today. I've done everything. And it's like, okay, so what have you done in terms of sales? Well, I've organized the books. I've organized the audio tapes. I've organized the files in the system. I've tidied up my computer. I've got rid of I've deleted some of my files that I don't need. It's like, but what have you done in terms of sales? Because that's what you're meant to be doing.
I'm laughing because, Jim, you and I have obviously spoke a lot over the years, and I used to come to you and be like, God, I'm run off my feet. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And you're like, so what have you actually done then? And then I used to get my back up. I'm like, God, I've never stopped. But are you actually doing something that's really productive?
Yeah. Because we like to, as I said before, we see the signs of busyness as success.
Yeah.
But the signs of being busy isn't success. The signs of success, it really comes down to pounds, shillings, and pence. It comes down to how much profit have you got, how much sales are you making, how efficient are you, and how much cash flow are you generating? Because that's let's be honest, we're in a capitalist society, and that's how business runs. So this is how we have to measure things. How efficient are we? Where's the KPIs, the key productivity indicators? What is the things that are telling us that we're doing stuff right and that we are getting forward? So don't mistake busyness for productivity. My classic that I see in property investment is when you get people, it's like, I'm going to knock the house down and start again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, why are you doing that? And it's like some people genuinely have a reason behind it because it will add significant value to what you're doing. But other people are like, just busy. Productivity. It's that sort of thing. They think by being busy and just knocking down walls and redecorating all over again and doing everything like that, when in actual fact, I'll walk into the property and probably go, light refurb. That's all it needs. Let's go for it. And then it's ready to rent and you're saving an absolute fortune because you're getting people in the door straight away. And your occupation rate's up. You're making money from day one, more or less. This is why I'm a big fan of actually making an agreement with someone to do the refurb while the transaction's still going through, but I've concluded missives. Because by the time I've got the transaction going through and I'm doing all the work on the properties, I'm showing people around at the same time. Therefore, as soon as I buy the property, somebody's more or less ready to move in the next day. So as I'm about to start paying the mortgage, the interest only on the mortgage, I'm making money straight away to cover it rather than actually having any void at all. So that is what we call productivity. Busy is like, well, I'll just wait till I get the property and then I'll start doing work on it.
Yeah, and you mentioned it as well. You mentioned KPIs as well, and I think any business model or business setup, you'll have 3, possibly 4 of your main KPIs, and they're the things to concentrate on. And if those aren't where you need them to be, then ultimately things are just not going to progress any further. And that's the most important thing, and that's productivity.
Yeah, I mean, again, we come back to saying everybody sees me, and somebody made a comment the other day saying about, people work 70 hours a week to be able to pay their rent. And I'm going, I wish I could get down to 70 hours a week because somebody's working part-time as far as I'm concerned. But then that then comes down to me thinking busyness is productivity. So now it's like I can now sit on any beach in the world and still be actually very productive for what I'm doing. We're sitting on any beach in the world because it's that classic example about when I get a task, it's like, oh, who can I get to do this?
Yeah. I was just going to say it's
productivity. Yeah. Typically I used to go, oh, I could do that. That'll keep me busy.
Yeah, and I think it's all about, like you say, if you've got a task in front of you and it's like, right, is this worth my while putting my time and effort into doing this, or should I pass it on to somebody else to deal with? And it's all trying to find that balance where, right, this isn't worth my time. I'd be better getting somebody else to do it, and I'll be better concentrating on something else that's more productive and probably generate more money or whatever.
Again, when you see all I mean, a millionaire or multimillionaire tends to work by themselves or work with a team. But you find in order to get to billionaire status, now I can't teach because I'm not a billionaire yet. But I can't teach that. But now I've begun to realize, and I've begun to see some of the habits of billionaires. What they're doing is they're actually building businesses and actually letting teams run each of these businesses. And that's how their wealth is increasing as a result. They're not just sticking with a business or something within their control. They're actually allowing other people to take control of these processes and these businesses and actually run them as their own entity in their own right. So rather than actually them having to develop the wealth, they're actually allowing other people to develop the wealth and actually giving them a share in that wealth as well as a natural compensation for what they're doing. Effectively, that's like a job. You like yourself, Richard, you're a director of the lettings division. Perry is running the sales division. And there's other areas that I'm concentrating on now as well in terms of property investment division. So it's making sure all these marry up together. But it's equally looking now I've got time, it's looking at other areas and thinking, should we be actually expanding into there? Or should I be buying something here? Or should I be investing in an area there? That's how billionaires are created.
Yeah.
But don't mistake again for busyness about, I'm going to go to the other end of the country to look for this one, or I'm going to go to the other end of the country to look for that one. And it's like, no. There's acres of diamonds right in front of you. It's all there for you, for the taking. You've just got to know how to attract that income and that wealth to you.
I was just going to say, some people who might be watching might think, right, okay, but then they might be a bit confused about how to identify if something's should be passed on to somebody else to do, or should I spend my time doing it, or if something worthwhile. Now, that'll vary depending on what you're doing and what you're setting out to achieve.
Work out your hourly rate, and then work out if it's a lower hourly if your hourly rate that you can generate is, say for example, £250. Look at a solicitor, £250 an hour. I'm fully qualified, top of the league solicitor, £250 an hour. They've got paralegals that'll do it for what, £100 an hour?
Yeah.
So then they take all that work and they sub it onto a paralegal to do it for £100 an hour, and they more or less charge £200 an hour. Yeah. So that's where they're making their income. They won't do it themselves because it's £100 an hour job in terms of what they're doing. And so that's how you've got to think about it. Whatever comes into you, is it worth your effort doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And people say, look, I've got the time to do it. It's like, no. You're just trying to dodge the fact that you'll have to do something else because it's uncomfortable. And you're now trying to convince yourself that you should be doing it because you're not busy.
Yeah.
Productivity, busy.
Yeah. That a good example of that is, we'll use property investment, obviously, because the majority of people watching might obviously be in that field. And you done this in the beginning, Jim, as well, so it's not to say it's the wrong thing to do, but if you buy a property and it needs work done, you need to then weigh up, is this worth my time going in and decorating and doing these bits and pieces if you're able to do them, or would it be more worthwhile paying a contractor to do that? And then you need to obviously then balance that
the cost absolutely
against your time, against what your time and like you say, your hourly rate and things as well. So yeah.
So then it brings us on to then procrastinating is another big thing. We just talked about initially before on critical tasks. It's the classic example about I'll do it tomorrow, because it's usually a less busy person. It usually says I'll do it tomorrow because they've got the time. Whereas a busy person usually gets it done straight away because they've not got any time at all. So
procrastinating is something I see quite a lot with people who are starting out with buy-to-let. And it's that has a bit of an apprehension as well, because obviously they're entering into something new, obviously starting up their buy-to-let portfolio and purchasing property, and because maybe they've got that bit of the fear factor or apprehensive, they procrastinate and think, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the next day, and you put it off, and before you know it, you're a year and 2 years down the line and you're still no further for it, and really you could have been up and running and making money.
Absolutely. It's again, this is I mean, take classic examples about this. Here's a classic example about procrastination or critical tasks or mistaking business for productivity.
Yeah.
Or getting diverted and listening to too many people around about you. I've always looked at this scenario as like, how do people become top athletes? because everybody's got the capability. Some people have got natural ability because they're born like that, with long limbs, Michael Phelps, no surprise, long torso, all the rest of it, long arms. So that's why he was a fantastic Olympic swimmer. But he would never have made a good runner, possibly. There's different ways. So you can be born with it, naturally inherent, and then you can develop your talent from there. But it's the distractions you get. And here's probably a classic example about how younger people lose money when they've got the ability to do it. They're maybe a world-class football player. They maybe get brought into Manchester United, Manchester City, or Celtic, or Rangers, or that, to train with the youth academy. But they never ever make it to the A team, and they never ever go on from there. And you usually generally find it's because they get distracted with girls, drink, gambling, messing about, or whatever it is. Where the people like Beckham and that religiously drilled themselves, there was no natural talent there, really. It's the fact that they just disciplined themselves to do it.
Yeah.
Peter Crouch talks about it all the time. Big lanky lad. He just he had he was self-conscious about who he was and what he was, and everybody used to go on about his height all the time, and he felt really self-conscious about the whole thing. And that then deviated from what he was doing, and he just liked playing football. But he says he was no shining star or anything like that. He just stuck at it, and he just continued to focus on it, and he got where he was by, it's just like what Mark there says, hard work beats talent.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to every single time. Hard work beats talent every single time, and that's why you get the young people that are 13, 12, and 10-year-old now that were excellent at a certain particular field, and then they fall by the wayside. But people that weren't maybe as good as them when they were that age in the same team end up going to be world class. And it's because what Mark says, hard work beats talent. Determination, focus.
Yeah, I think if you've got that willingness to continually work hard, and you could discipline yourself to do things and stick at it, you'll become, whatever field you're in and what you're doing, you'll become, obviously, you'll master it, and you'll become really good at it.
You don't become distracted. Look at the Williams sisters. Now, the Williams sisters, how on earth is that possible that two sisters from the same family could go on to be Wimbledon champions and Olympic champions in tennis? How is that possible? Because you're not telling me the two of them were naturally gifted or talented. It's hard work beats talent, beats natural talent. Definitely, every single time. Focus, determination, attitude. And I always say attitude will determine your altitude. It will not be education. Education will only get you so far because it gets everybody else that same level as well, because everybody else gets that talent. But the attitude you have after that will determine how far you go on from there with the basic fundamentals you've acquired through maybe the education process.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a good example. I mean, the Williamson sisters, but yeah, definitely the hard work thing is something for me. But procrastinating, just to bring back obviously to the section that we're at, and it can become a really vicious cycle of things, and it can allow you to just become more easily just keep putting things off, and then it takes you away from what you actually should be doing, and doing right now in order to progress yourself forward. And I think without keeping that in check, you could develop a habit of actually being lazier, and it's like laziness, because you just keep putting things off, and that could be a big detriment to your overall success.
Yeah, true, absolutely true. Prioritize the tasks.
Yeah, and that's that. Yeah, and I think this is what the best way to overcome that is to prioritize. Definitely, prioritize what's important and what needs to be done.
But that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. If you've got a choice, you'll go, there's the easy ones first. I'll just do the easy ones first. And there's some books and some people that actually teach you, do the easy ones first, the easy wins. The easy wins will lead you to the bigger, higher wins, which will be a bit more uncomfortable because you get kind of eased into it, if that makes sense. However, there's other people that say just get in there and start swimming.
Yeah,
it's the one that I always recognise the analogy of when you're going to go in the water. You notice the people that get in the water are the people that just go, yeah, and just jump in.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're in, swimming about for ages. And then the people that dip their toe in the water go, oh, it's just a wee bit cold. it's like, and I've done it. I've done both.
Yeah.
And it's like, I tell you what, it's better just jumping in and swimming. That's it, and go for it. Mark actually says there, it's quite interesting. You're absolutely right, Mark. Nailed it. That's why furus excel, the fake gurus, because they're prepared to fill in people's heads with all the crap, no matter what it is, but they're disciplined to do it. They just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And repetition is the mother of all skill. And when you repeat it so many times, it almost becomes second nature to someone. And then because you repeat it so many times and it's on a format like this, people begin to believe it. That's the frightening aspect. When people see it glossed up in media, then it becomes more believable. This is why they don't like the fact that some of these media moguls like Murdoch and that have so much control over the television and so much control over newsprint as well, because they can say what they like and people will actually believe them because it's in the news, it's in the paper. Why do you think so many people that, like even including the Furus, actually write books? Because when people see it in a book, no matter what it is, they'll believe it because it's in a book.
They take it as
yeah. It's like that's why you're told to write a book. So when you go on a course, the first thing they usually typically do is write a book, because that introduces people to your sales funnel. It's like, but what do I write it about? You know, it's like, oh, just write about anything, because you're only needing X amount of people to buy it, because they just want the book level. They don't want the £1,000 experience. They just want the £10.99 experience. And then some of the people from the book that have read it will want to go on to the £1,000 experience. And then some of the people that go on from the £1,000 experience will want to go on the full Buna, mentoring course at £6,000.
Yeah, so I say like $6,000 or something.
Yeah, so it's that funnel that goes all the way down to the people that are paying £6,000, sometimes even £15,000 for a year's worth of mentoring. That can actually happen quite easily. That's why they tell you to write the books. So the other one out of that is the distractions. Here's the classic distractions. Mark picks up on it as well. There is the shiny penny, the cars, the houses. The look at me. We're all lying on the bed and we're all in our beautiful white, toilet robes with our children, and we've all got perfect lighting. And I'm like, right, okay, but you didn't actually just take that with your camera on your phone, did you? You actually sat in a professional photographer's studio and got these taken. And you do see a lot of people doing that. They go and get these photographs specifically taken for their actual Instagram pages to convince people that have really not got money that there is money to be made if they sign up with them. That's a distraction as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that is. It is, because then it's distracting you by thinking, oh, look what they've achieved, and really, or look where they are, and then thinking, do you know what I mean? It distracts you. I think that's quite like taking you away from what you're ultimately wanting to achieve, because you're too busy looking at what potentially somebody else has achieved from their Instagram, and like you say, half it's all staged.
This is why people say to me all the time, it's like, you should get into student lets. And it's like, no, not doing student lets. Core competence in private residential renting.
Yeah.
I mean, it should get into HMO. No HMO. It's like, but there's loads of money to be made in it. It's like, yeah, and there's loads of money to be made if you can get private residential renting right as well. Yeah. And it's like, but you should get into this and you should get into that, and you'll make money in this, and you'll make money in that. It's like, nah. I loathe to say this, but a jack of all trades is a master of none. Because you spread yourself far too thin. We've seen that recently with somebody. I actually had to go at them, remember, at the weekend. Big time, because I said, you're spread far too thin. You're not giving me the service I should get anymore. And that now means I can't use you anymore, because your core competence isn't in this field that I'm needing you for now.
Yeah.
And this is a subby that we're talking about. So I won't endorse this person anymore, because I don't believe. I think they're, and I know it sounds daft, they're only in it for the money. Yes, money does help. But I believe personally that if you become the specialist in a particular area and you're the top guru in that area, the actual the Yoda of that, then you're the one that probably makes the most money in that area. And that for me is more important than actually being second place in every other area.
Yeah, that makes
I'd rather be first at something, because you know yourself the difference between the income between people that are first in their field and people that are second in their field is like night and day.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be first.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, like you say, when you're spreading yourself too thin and trying to be involved in too many different things and doing that relatively good, why would you not just put all your time and effort into being really good and number one at the thing that you're good at?
Yeah, look at some of the people around about us right now building their businesses. Kesa.
Mm-hmm.
You say buy-to-let finance, you immediately think of Kesa.
Yes.
If you say private residential mortgage, you think of somebody else. You don't think of Kesa. You think of Kesa for buy-to-let finance specialist.
Yeah.
If I think about, if somebody says to me bridge and finance, I immediately go Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Straight away, because I know he knows what he's doing in terms of that, because I've read his book. So he's a specialist in that field. That's what he concentrates on. If you say SaaS pensions, you'll think of the other Kevin Whelan.
Yeah.
Because he's specialist in that as well. So I've no doubt these people make a lot of money in comparison to other people in these fields because they specialize in these fields to what they're doing, and they don't allow themselves to get distracted in any other areas. It's the distraction that ends up costing you money, even though you would get money. Look at the amount of people that have jumped on the bandwagon for crypto, and they could have made a hell of a lot of money. I'll be honest, I could have been way more wealthier than I am now if I hadn't done a estate agency. Honestly, if I had stuck to just property investment and hadn't got diverted thinking, oh, I should do a estate agency to keep me busy, I could have been sitting, never mind on a beach, I could have bought an island. Mm-hmm. I could have just basically bought my own island and had my own country. That's where I could have been, I think. But, you know, I got distracted. I got involved in a estate agency. And lo and behold, we're the number one in Scotland.
Yeah, and that's good.
But to be the best.
But you're only now just, I mean, you have slowly built your portfolio over the years, but you're only now starting to then add, I mean, the last couple of years, you've started to add a lot more because you've now outsourced a lot of what has done within the business.
Yes, but I allowed other people, the things about, you know, listen to too many people.
Yeah.
About, oh, the market's not going to. And then I was like, yep, I'm away for the sell off, Richard. And this was before I started again.
Yeah.
I'm away to sell. I think I'm just going to exit. And then I was in the process of selling. And then I got down to a certain amount of properties and I thought, holy shit, what am I doing? Are you nuts? Are you stupid? It's like, oh my God, you're just selling off the goose. You're just basically killing the goose that laid the golden egg every single time. Yeah. Are you just stupid or what? And then that's when I thought to myself, I need to get back in this. It's ripe. I've now made quite a lot of profit. I've taken a lot of profit. I'm able to reinvest that profit back in. And I just went hell for leather again and started buying. Yeah. All the right things, though. It was just the right time. It was just ripe. It was opportunity was there. I began to see it because I was more focused again. Your vision is really important about being focused. So I began to see it again. And these opportunities started to appear in front of me. And I started to go, yep, that one. Not that one, that one. And then that's how on earth did I manage to buy 20 properties in that time? Mm-hmm. It's like, where did that come from? And then all of a sudden, it's like out the blue when I says, I'm aiming for 50. It's like, I need another 30. And then out of the blue, somebody comes up and says, I'm selling a portfolio of 30. Yeah. I'm in. The numbers work. And it's like, where did that come from? Because I think that's a lot to do with focus. And I think if I hadn't set myself that target and refocused again, because I said 20, and then I came to you and says, no, that's not ambitious enough for me. I'm going to say 50.
50, yeah.
And then that's what happened. I think if I'd stuck with 20, I would have missed that 30. Mm-hmm. I would have missed that opportunity. I would have let that go. So I think this is a lot to do with focus.
Yeah.
A real lot to do with focus. And you can't get distracted by the distractions round about you, the things that people are going, I'm making money in crypto, I'm making money on the stock market, I'm making money in currency trading. You know, I'm giving Greg Secker a hard time now, but Greg is actually brilliant with what he does. He's a master. He's basically Yoda in currency trading. But I'm giving them a wee bit of a hard time now because it's going, this is the day I made 200,000 in one trade. So, what? 200,000 in one trade? You're having a laugh. But then I'm giving them a hard time. I'm going, but what capital did you use to get that 200,000? Because you would have had to put something up in order to forward buy that currency, to commit to it, in order to make 200,000 in one day. How much is that? And he's just giving me percentages, and I'm like, no, just give it in pound shillings and pence.
Just give me the amount.
I believe it's millions he put forward to do that, and he maybe would have exited, but he would have exited with millions anyway. But he would have had less. He would have had a bit less if it had gone wrong. So I think to get that 200,000, he's probably put 15 million on the line.
Yeah.
But he's not. He wouldn't lose 15 million if he exited.
No, but he's had to put a lot up.
14 and a half or something like that. But to get the 200,000, he had to do that. So it's not a trade that I'd be able to do because I wouldn't have 15 million lying about just to put in a currency trade like he has. But he makes out that you can make 200,000 in one day. Come on my course and I'll show you. Because that's what Greg sells.
Yeah.
So that's an easy distract. I tell you what, though, if I'm going to do currency trading, I'll be going to Greg. Definitely. But I don't allow myself to be distracted by what's going on round about me from my core competence and my core focus on what I should be doing.
Yeah.
That's the key here. The estate agency business, you take care of the lettings business. I really don't get involved in that. I only look at one portfolio, and we look at the KPIs with you.
Yeah.
My estate agency business, that's more and more diverting to responsibility Perry looking after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good as well. And the fact it allows me more time to then focus on bigger projects and bigger plans in terms of what I'm doing in order to build wealth further. And it's like, why would you need to build wealth further? And I keep asking myself that as well. But it's the old thing about, why does Buffett do it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a sport. It's literally just a sport to them. It's like they love doing it. So why would you not do it every day? But even better, they're going to give most of it away. The majority of his income, 99% of his wealth, actually is just getting given away when he pops his clogs. Now, admittedly, 1% is a hell of a slice if you're a multi-billionaire, which he is. And the 1% is a hell of a slice to leave as a legacy to his family. And that's what he's doing. But he says, the rest of Berkshire Hathaway, just give it to charity. All my shares I've got, I'll give it to charity. And I think that's the right thing to do. Just keep doing it. If you can do it and you can generate it and people want what you do, that's the most important thing for me. If people want what I do and they like what I do, I'll continue to do it. The day somebody says, I don't want you to, I'm not needing your services anymore. I don't want to use you anymore. It's like happy days. I'll go and lie on a beach and get a suntan and drink pina coladas for the rest of my life. Non-alcoholic, by the way. but do you see where that comes from?
Yeah.
Why would you? And I'll rub shoulders with some of the people that are really successful as well to find out what they do, and I'll still continue to learn, and it'll maybe drag me in a different direction into political sphere, and you never know. One day I might become a politician. I hate that idea, but if that's where my journey takes me, that's where the German takes it. Do you know what frustrates me the most about this, Richard? Now is because I feel I've got to stand up because no one else is standing up for this.
Yeah,
no one else is out there swinging for the fence every single day for the private landlords and for residential renting and for how important it is. No one's out there putting their neck on the line, as far as I can see, to any degree that I feel compelled that to hell with. Somebody's got to do it, and if it is to be, it's up to me. And I just can't. But it's with most things about me. I can't stand seeing an injustice in a system.
Yeah,
an injustice where people are vilified and picked on because of their choice of investment and putting a roof over somebody's head. But equally, it's the other side, the flip side, is I can't abide the fact that sometimes on the flip side of that is even tenants come out worse in certain situations. So that's another thing. So I'll stand up for an injustice if I feel I believe in it, not because it's a monetary aspect towards it, but that's what this allows me to do. Not this show, but what my wealth has created. Yeah, well, wealth is created. That's all I always wanted to do. I wanted to be answerable to nobody, and I'm not answerable to anybody except myself. And my wife, maybe.
Yeah,
But that's really what I wanted to get to that stage.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Touchwood or MDF or whatever this desk is, that's where you can get to. So not allowing myself to be distracted allows me to focus on that core competence, and then things will progress from there, and then just keep doing that every single time.
And although, like you say, Jim, there people will be like, well, why are you continuing this journey of creating more wealth when you're already in a position where you could be quite comfortable, but your new or your maybe ultimate goal is to continue to do that, to then, like you say, give back to people, give to charity and things, and also to hand it down and leave a legacy for your kids and things as well.
Yeah. Some people believe that they should let their kids suffer and endure all the pain and the things that they went through themselves. I don't believe in that. I think your children should stand on your shoulders and actually build on what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
And you should teach them to do that. You shouldn't just hand it to them. You should teach them to do that. You should teach them to stand on your shoulders and actually build on what you've got, and help them as much as possible without and not give them the hindrances you were giving them, especially if they're driven, because they'll get further than you. Your success is based on, I suppose, how successful your children become.
Yeah.
Now that's a different measure depending on how you see it, whether it's aspirational, whether it's monetary, whether it's contribution to society.
Yeah.
All these different things, but that's down to the individual. I don't think your children should suffer what you had to suffer just because you had to suffer it.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
That's how we evolve. That's how we evolve as a species. That's how we evolve as a nation. But we don't get caught up in distractions. And I tell you what, there's a lot of distractions going on right now. You know, with this gender recognition bill and all the rest of it, and that carry on that's going on. And to some people, they might take objection to me calling it a carry on, but it's like, it's whatever you want it is for yourself, but it's a distraction to me because it doesn't impact on my life at all.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you could be a tree if you want. It doesn't make any difference to me as one. Go and fill your boots, have a great time, and enjoy yourself. Why do I need to convince you otherwise? It's your life, no mine.
Yeah, I think it's taking on a wee bit of life of its own, the whole thing. But
distractions, because people aren't busy enough. They want to get involved in other people's stuff. Get your own house in order before you start judging everybody else. That's my answer to that. Yeah. Take a good look at yourself in the mirror first before you start judging everybody else. Get yourself sorted out first. Tell yourself, if you're 100%, it's the old thing about, I keep going on now and again and saying, hey, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, back on topic, we spoke about procrastinating there, and you had said, Jim, a really good technique, obviously, to overcome that is to prioritize and look at things and in order the importance and difficulty in things. And people will usually do the easy things first and leave the harder things till later. But you should probably maybe do that on the flip side. And they also say as well to tackle maybe the more difficult and harder tasks earlier on in the day when you're more, do you know what I mean? When you're more switched on and you're in the zone. Whether you leave them at the end of the day and you're kind of a bit deflated, you've had a whole day doing whatever you're doing. So that's maybe a better way to do it. So prioritizing is good, but do it correctly and do it that's going to be more efficient to you. And like I say, the difficult ones, get them out of the way while you're on the ball and ready to do it. Don't put it off.
It's the jump in the swimming pool. Just jump in.
Yeah, just
jump in, swim about. Make sure it's not too deep, by the way, and make sure it's not too shallow because you'll hurt yourself. But that's just like most things. That's just like the assessment, what I'm saying metaphorically, for what you're just about to do. Just get it done now. Stop procrastinating. Stop thinking about it during the day. All day. Because some people actually, I tell you what, I'll phone them today. It's like, okay, so you're going to phone them today. When are you going to phone them? I'll phone them. Oh, maybe not phone them at 11 o'clock because they're going to be busy doing something. And the next thing out of that is I'll maybe not phone them at 1 o'clock because they'll be on their lunch. That's the next one. So, and then when they get to that time, they then get on to the afternoon. They go, but I'll maybe not phone them at 3 o'clock, so they'll be working, they'll be busy. I'll maybe phone them at night. And then they get to night time, they'll go,
Oh, they'll be eating their tea.
I maybe shouldn't have phoned them because they'll be at their tea. I'll phone them after tea. And then they get to 7 o'clock and they go, I maybe shouldn't have phoned them because they'll be watching the telly, they'll be a wee bit upset. And it's like, I'll phone them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just phone them now. You don't know where they are, what they're doing. I think they're more than welcome you phoning them now, especially if they're needing something done. So stop procrastinating, get on with it, get going, and get that, swing for that fence and get that, whatever it is, that touchdown or whatever it is you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
Here's the one that I get caught up in, allowing politics. Allowing politics to impact on your business and your success and everything like that.
Your decision-making process.
Well, I don't do politics on my own business pages.
Yeah.
I do politics on my own personal pages and public profiles because it's relevant to me. It's not really part of Fife Properties as such. But if it does impinge on Fife Properties a wee bit in terms of housing strategy and that, then I will go into that. But just personal stuff. But I don't really get involved in the politic aspects of anything else other than housing, because housing's where I specialise in. How would I know about anything else other than housing?
Mm-hmm.
It's like going to ask a doctor to build a kitchen. It's like the surgeon's not going to be able to build a kitchen, and the joiner's not going to be able to do brain surgery. It's like they both specialise in different fields. So why would you get involved in politics? And I think it's another distraction. Usually it's, and especially in businesses where people get internally locked into politics. You have the wee factions, the cliques.
Yeah.
I've heard it recently. There's wee cliques in this business and there's the groups of people, and it's like, that's all in your head, mate. That's your paranoia more than anything. I've seen that in the past in a lot of businesses, and I'm like, that's your paranoia. Nobody's thinking of that at all. But that's what happens. It distracts people, and team members start jockeying for position, especially when people come in. They get really, defensive. So they start pulling back and they start getting defensive, and they don't want to tell anybody anything or teach anybody anything. They want to throw people under the bus because they feel if they throw them under the bus, then they'll get pushed out or something, and then they'll get and it'll make them look at the But in actual fact, most people around about you know exactly what's going on, and you're held back because you're not the type of team player person, and you're only focusing on what you want out of this. You're not focusing on for the benefit of the team. That's probably one of the most important aspects that comes out of that. So any professionalism can just go out the window because of this.
Yeah.
Unless you can be a solo entrepreneur with complete control of your company, and you're going to you're going to encounter different ideas within a company with that way. And the key is to maintain logical decision making, is to keep it and everyone's efforts coordinated and focused on the ultimate goal of what you're trying to achieve in the enterprise.
Yeah.
Now, I've been a kind of a solo entrepreneur for quite a while when we first started, but now we're starting to move into a different sphere. I'm even finding it difficult, to be honest. It's like minister without portfolio. What do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do now? It's like I'm no longer in charge of the sales team. I'm no longer in charge of lettings. Lettings was easy to let go, but I still get involved in my own stuff.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But sales is a different one for me because I've been embedded in that for the last, since 2006.
Yeah.
So in order to pull back from that and work on the business rather than in the business, it's become a wee bit uncomfortable for me and difficult for me to do that. But this is all about politics, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
and I think that'll be quite.
I have to take the upper hand in here and think, what is the best for the growth of the business and for all the people round about you? And sometimes that's like, Jim, you just got to suck it up. Or the other people, we've seen it in the past where we've brought people into the company and other people have left because they felt like, oh, I'm getting replaced. It's like,
displaced.
To grow the company.
Yeah. Yeah, but they feel like they've been displaced, and that's not really the way. I think a lot of people, I hear people saying, "Oh, I don't like change," but the only way you're ever going to develop and grow is to change and to bring new people in, and that change is a good thing. I think a lot of people watching, I'll find it quite refreshing to hear what you said there, Jim, about you feeling like it pushes, like, obviously this not being in charge of the sales and things like that, it pushes you out your comfort zone, and then you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, like, oh, what do I do now? Because people might think, oh, you didn't experience things like that. You've been doing this for years. You know what you're doing. Everybody experiences it.
Well, I tell you what I did. I booked a flight and went on holiday for 10 days. For the first time ever, when somebody else was on holiday at the same time. I've never done that in my life. It's like, hey, I'll just go on holiday for 10 days. It's like, are you taking a lane? No, just go myself. It's like, what? I actually heard Dan Pena say that. He said, good leaders can actually stay. If you can't, I think he said, I mean, he's pretty coarse. I mean, I think I'm coarse, but oh yeah, boy, this boy blows everybody at the water. He makes Frankie Boyle look like a nun. But Dan Pena is quite right. He says, if you can't sit by yourself for the weekend and have no interaction with other people, then there's something inherently. Is it wrong? I don't know if it's wrong or not is the word, but he says there's something inherently wrong with the way you're uncomfortable with yourself. Then, if that's the case, you have to have people round about you in order to feel something, that connection. It's like, because as a leader, you should be able to go away on your own and actually make decisions on your own and actually work on your own in isolation in order to achieve what you want to achieve. If you can't do that, you'll never get any further forward. Yeah. You can't allow distractions to get in the way.
Yeah, that's quite a good point, actually. And there'll be a lot of people who maybe feel like that, and maybe if they're on their own a day or two, and start to feel like that, like I need to clear this with somebody, or I need to, do you know, the decision-making process. If you can't stand to make decisions on your own without referring to somebody, then you need to actually ask yourself why that is. Do you know what it's like? And a lot of people will have a good team around them, and certain people do specialise in things, and that's why you go to them to ask for reassurance on things and that. But you should still, if you're at the head of something and running something, be able to make a decision without really relying on anybody else.
It's been truthful. I think it's more being truthful with yourself about where you are right now, and actually facing the uncomfortableness of you need to change something in order to move forward.
Yeah.
If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. It'll always be the same. Nothing will ever change for you unless you change something that you're doing. I used to get told by my mentors, it's like, Jim, this is the height of ignorance. It's like, what? And I went, well, what's the height of ignorance? Like, you know, I feel offended. I'm no ignorant. He says, but it's not that. He says, why would you expect anything to change if you're doing exactly the same thing every day?
Same thing, yeah.
I mean, if you drop something onto the ground and from a certain height, and it drops onto the ground, it's like, it's not going to drop anywhere different any other day if you keep dropping it at the same place every single day from the same height. Nothing will change. If there's nothing else in that equation, then that, whatever happens when it hits the ground, is the same thing that happens every day. However, if you put more momentum behind it, the ground will be more damaged. If you have a wind that blows in for the side, it'll blow, of course. So unless you do something different or introduce something different to that equation, nothing will change in your life. This also then comes into the aspect of distractions. Why people self-sabotage? Because they need to be distracted because they're bored now. So they self-sabotage and they deliberately make themselves distracted because it keeps them busy.
Trying to rectify it.
Not productive, it just keeps them busy. So they start to self-sabotage. Classic example of self-sabotage, I need to change jobs. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because I just need to change. But why? I just need a change. It's like, okay, but that's self-sabotage. I no longer enjoy being with you. You know, a partner. It's like, I no longer enjoy being with you. Well, what is it? Oh, you're boring. It's like, oh, because we do the same thing every day. It's like, what we're meant to be doing? Are we meant to be going to Las Vegas or, you know, something else different every day? Welcome to the world. More or less, you do the same monotonous routines every single day.
No matter who you are.
Are you going to stop brushing your teeth because you do that every day?
No.
Because that's pretty boring, isn't it? It's a routine. It's just part of what you do and how you move forward. But people just can't abide monotony. You know, the day-to-day routines. It's just not in our social nature to be able to do that. And if you can discipline yourself to do that and understand what's happening, this is all about education, you see, and learning, continuous learning, and happening as well, then you're able to move forward from there.
Self-sabotage is an interesting one, because there's a lot of people that have done it and do it and don't even realise that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's where Mark says it there. You need to surround yourself with good people. Don't seek judgment from them, but actually seek support from them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supporting you in the right. Classic example is you have two parenting styles. We'll just call them two parenting styles. There's numerous degrees of this, but one criticizes their children. In other words, here we come. I got 95% in my exam. Where's the other 5%? What happened there? The next one is, I got 95% in my exam. Fantastic. That's absolutely amazing. Do you think you want to work on the other 5? Nah. Well, that's fine. 95% is hitting it right out of the park.
Yeah.
Now, it's said in a different way, but it's received in a different way as well. But one's received like a criticism and one's received like, okay, maybe I should work on the other 5. Or maybe I don't need to work on the other 5. So there's different ways that you can introduce things. And listen, there's no surprise there, Richard. You'll be saying, Jim, you're still working on this, aren't you? Skills with People is a book I'll need to read again and again and again. How to Win Friends and Influence People is certainly another book I need to read again and again and again. Because I am not an how to win friends and influence people person.
Yeah, which maybe some people will think that's surprising, but I mean, I would say you are a people person, and I am as well in terms of what we do day to day. But then sometimes in relationships between like people and different people for different groups is quite difficult. So you need to that's something you need to really kind of teach yourself to do.
But you can't be everything to everybody.
No.
That is the thing. And I will attract the right people who are like-minded like me. And as long as you've got an audience to a degree that you can actually help, and in return, you're actually making a good lifestyle and living out of it, fantastic, fill your boots. But it's when you're everything to everyone, or you try to be, you'll be nothing to nobody.
Do you know what? That kind of brings us on nicely to what we're going to talk about finally. And it's like you're saying, obviously trying to please everybody, and then it's being a yes person, and saying yes to everything, because some people just want to please everybody. So and people will come to them and they'll just can you do this? Can we do this? Yes, and people will just say it straight off yes, and then they've just committed themselves to do that, and it might be something totally counterproductive or a total waste of your time. But you're committed to it and you're doing it, and then. It's just to the detriment of what you're doing.
Tell me about it.
You could be using that time.
Worst. Yeah. I am the world's worst for saying yes. And the difficulty is sometimes I realise, Jim, you need to say no into these situations because they're not on your path. They're taking you away from the path that you should be following.
Mm-hmm.
So there's times now where I actually say, no, I'm not getting involved in that. There's a classic example. You get loads of, everybody gets it. If you're on LinkedIn, you get loads of inbox emails from people on LinkedIn. I could help you do this. I can help you do this. I can help you do that. And I'm like, nah, you're all right, pal. My core competence is this. And then sometimes people will say, oh, I can help you get out on social media. I can help you do this. And I'm like, have you actually seen my channel? We put out 600 pieces of content every single week. And then they go, oh, that's fantastic. That's amazing. It's like, I'll just leave you to get on with it then. And I think, well, why did you do that in the first place? And they're just doing loads and loads. They're doing a hit or a miss every single time. But you've got to watch yourself that you don't say yes to certain things. You just got to learn to keep your mouth shut, even though you want to get involved. And you've got to learn, if you say yes, what's going to come next, what you're actually going to have to get yourself embroiled in. Because
it's a bad habit to get into, and it can be referred to as it's excessive people pleasing, basically.
Yeah, Richard, it almost killed me And you know that. It always killed me saying yes to everything. It's just so overwhelming. I want to please everybody. But I've now come to the conclusion with proper training and proper understanding that I will not be able to please everybody. And that is just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Because I will never have any time to myself, any time to my family, any time to focus on the things that really do need focused.
Yeah, like certain projects and relationships and things that are going to benefit you, or benefit your business, or benefit whatever your goal is, and where you're trying to get to. So all these other things could really sidetrack you.
It's crazy to think that you could think of doing that, because you'll get yourself into real trouble doing it. So please stop the habit of excessive people pleasing.
Yeah.
Now, it happens a lot. We get sucked into a lot. But remember, it will be a major distraction to you. So then it will counteract much of your success as well. More you are where you are because of the decisions that you've made and the decisions that you've allowed other people to make for you by not making a decision in the first place. So the most important thing I could say to you is, if you're not happy where you are right now, you're the one that needs to change it, because no one else is going to do it for you. Here's a kick in the teeth there.
I didn't know if you froze there or not, but
no.
Yeah, I totally agree. And
I thought I'd let that sink into a lot of people. If you're not happy with your life right now, it's your fault.
Yeah, and you're the only one that can change that.
It's no one else's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's no your partner's fault. Oh, they've got to please me every single day. They said they would love, honour, and obey me and all the rest of it when we got married. It's like, they're not there to please you every single day. That's not their job.
Yeah.
It's your job to keep yourself content and happy every single day. And if you're miserable, that's your fault.
Yeah.
No one else's. Because you've allowed it to happen. The only way anybody can get your goat is if you've told them where you've tied it up. That's the only way you can get. Some people don't understand what that saying is. Don't let somebody get your goat, and it means don't let somebody rile you up. Don't let somebody get you annoyed. And it's like, but the only way that you can stop somebody getting your goat is to don't tell them where it's tied up. In other words, just don't react to them. But this is where the distractions come in, where people say yes every single time. So it's seriously important that you need to step back sometimes and say no and say, look, unfortunately on this occasion, I usually say, unfortunately on this occasion, I'm not able to put any resource into this at all. However, I can give you a contribution towards it, in monetary aspect. So that's my contribution to it. Because again, we'll come back to the old thing about, this lesson I've learned from Born Free is like, if you can make the money, go out and make the money and just give it to us because we need it. We don't need volunteers. Every man and their dog wants to volunteer at Born Free. Just go and make the money and give us it.
And that's going to help us. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll help us more because the volunteers will be able to do it. So it will give you really good tangible results by doing that. Your relationships will improve as well. Your work will become more relaxed and more productive. You'll no longer feel busy. You'll feel more productive. And so it'll make it easier to say no from time to time and ensure you don't wind up over your head and overwhelmed, agreeing to something that you're going to regret later.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody said yes to things and thought, why did I say yes to that?
Look at me every single time. It's like, yeah, I'm going on. Hey, let's climb Kilimanjaro next year. It's like, and I look at it as like, yeah, we're going to wee jaunt up a hill. That's how I look at it. But I know the work's going to come after this. So I'm not even thinking about that. I'm saying no. I just want to go back up Kilimanjaro again. But then when somebody says, when Darren, you better be watching. When Darren says we're going up Kilimanjaro next year, I'm going right. I'm in, and I'm constantly just training just now. So when I've been out in Spain, I've been doing like 10 miles a day. I've been running 5K in the morning. I've been cycling as well, 10 miles in the morning. But then I've been going out walking for 10 miles a day as well. So every single day I've been out there, I've probably done about over 100 miles in that time. and it's no anything needed to do big, but it's just to keep myself attuned to the fact that when he says, "Okay, let's go for it," it's like, thank God I'm prepared.
It's not going to be such a big shock to your system, yeah.
I've been knocked back for the London Marathon as well, but I have put an application in through Parkinson's UK. Hence the reason why, again, I'm doing this, because if Parkinson's UK come back to me later in the year and go, "Yep, you're in," I'm going, holy shit, I'll have to learn to get back to running 26 miles again without injuring myself. So that's why I'm kind of keeping myself just on the verge of, okay, I'm just kind of prepared and ready for this, just in case it does happen. So see how these yeses can easily overwhelm if everybody came in at once and said, "Yep, we're doing Kilimanjaro. Yep, we're doing the London Marathon. Yep, we're doing a standard triathlon. Yep, we're doing."
I mean, all of a sudden you've got all these things on your plate, and it's going to take that would take a lot out of you.
And then you're overwhelmed. That's it. That's the reality. You're overwhelmed by everything, and you don't want to get overwhelmed because you know what happens next. It affects here.
Yeah, mentally. Yeah.
And your whole body is here that you've got right now to carry this about.
Yeah.
Because this is the most important thing here. This muscle in your head is the most important thing ever, because this is what runs everything. If this doesn't work, nothing else works.
Yeah.
If your lung doesn't work, it's like, yeah, you could probably get away with one lung. If your liver doesn't work, you can get away with one kidney. If your arm doesn't work, you can your arm doesn't work. But if this stops working, you're out of business.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing you've got to look after. This is why I could never understand why people don't put helmets on their head when they go out on their bikes.
Yeah.
It's like vanity, complete vanity. It's like, oh, I'll get a suntan, or it might spoil my hair. It's like, my God, if you just fall off your bike at 10 miles an hour and hit your head, you could have serious damage.
Yeah.
Serious damage. And that is the most important thing that will run your whole body for the rest of your life. You need that, and you should be treating it like the China on your back seat of your car. You should be strapping, packing it all in, making sure it's okay. So it's the same thing about, as I said, saying yes, how you could overwhelm yourself every single time up here and cause severe problems up here, which overwhelms you as well overall, which actually sends you into orbit. And, that's how people have breakdowns completely. Yeah. You just have to draw a line under it and leave it at that.
Yeah, distractions and things and taking on too much could mount up and could really have an effect on you. But I think just to kind of conclude on what we're talking about today and distractions, and we've covered quite a lot of good examples of distractions and how they could be detrimental to you or your business or whatever you're setting out to do, but being able to recognize what the biggest distractions are and how to then obviously tackle them or not let them sidetrack you from your journey, then if once you identify them and know what they are, you're less likely to fall victim to them.
Yeah.
And it allows you to keep your eye on what the prize is and what you're set out to accomplish, and not get distracted by these shiny pennies and other things that sidetrack you, like we say.
Yeah. It is, and I'll just reiterate to the people what the shiny penny is, just so they understand what I'm talking about. Shiny penny is like, you see money. Well, we could just talk about money lying on the ground. You know where you're going, and you know where you're focused on. You can see it right ahead of you, and you know how long it's going to take you to get there. And you know how much time and effort you're going to take to get it, and you know what the cost is investment in order to get there. But what happens every now and again is down in the corner of your eye, you see money, the shiny penny, on the side of the sidewalk or the pavement in UK, sidewalk in America. Yeah. And then you see that money, and then all of a sudden you stop and you think to yourself, okay, there's some money at the side of the, okay, maybe I should pick that up. All of a sudden it's stuck with glue. And it's like, then you kind of go, oh, well, it's actually quite a bit of money. It's like, maybe I should get some glue remover. So you go away and buy some glue remover for the local shop, and you spend all your time and effort in doing that and your money in doing it. And then you get the glue remover on this. And it's like, it's kind of coming off, but it's not coming off enough. So then you're having to get some sort of crowbar or something to get underneath it. So you go back to the shop. You see how you spend all the time and money trying to get this. You go back to the shop and get the crowbar, and then you get the crowbar under it, and then you pull it as well. And the next minute, it splits in two. It's like the money's useless now. That's effectively the distractions in our life.
Yeah.
Because the focus that you had on getting where you're going, you've probably lost all that focus and you've lost a lot of that money because the critical path there was what you had to follow in order to make that return. And you've got distracted by the shiny penny at the side of the
all your
road.
time and energy into that.
All that time and effort and resource and all that money that you put into buying stuff in order to try and generate it, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That is how getting distracted can lose you money. Yeah. And I rest my case.
Yeah. No, that's good. But we'll leave it there today, Jim. I thought that was quite a good ending to what we've covered today. Thanks to everybody that's jumped on in the comments and contributed to the live show. If you'd watched the reruns, still jump in comments and things. We do get them. And you could also message myself direct if you've got any questions about the Wealth Creation Show. My email is richard.cook@fiveproperties.co.uk if you need to drop me a line. And that's us for today, Jim. Thanks for that. And as I say, thanks everybody for listening.
Bye-bye for now.
See you later.